Now, my dad has also done some other things in my life, and he's just kind of the guy that I would always call when I needed him. Have you ever had a person in your life like that? You see, there was one time, and even when I was 32 years old, if I called my dad, he would be there for me. Chicken Soup, I write for them, and they called me and said, Janet, do you have a story that we could use for the father-daughter soul? And I said, no, I don't. Because I had one story that they wanted a humorous story, and I told them I can't talk about the story I have because my dad and I promised each other it would be just between us. So I went and talked to my dad, and I said, they want me to write the story. Can I share it? And he goes, well, why not? And I said, well, it was just between us. And my dad said, well, honey, that's because no one would ever believe it. I want to share with you parts of this story right now. I wish I could have seen his face when he answered the phone. Even though I had been married to Marty for years, he was still there when I needed him. I still called home. Dad, I said, my garage door broke. And he said, it broke? And I said, yeah, Dad, it broke. And he says, well, what do you need, honey? Me to go by and pick up a spring? And I said, no, Daddy. It really broke, and so I had places to go, and so I kind of decided I was going to try to go out the third garage door. He said, you what? And I said, well, Dad, I started to U-turn my car in the garage, and I have a problem now. And he said, Janet Lynn, what's your problem? And I said, Dad, my car is stuck sideways in my garage, and my husband's going to be home soon, so I need you to come and help me get the car out. And he said, well, honey, have you been doing this for... Dad, I had almost a full tank of gas, and now I don't. Within minutes, my dad stood in my garage, actually facing the garage, with his hands on his hips, shaking his head, saying, I can't believe it. Now, my dad did not say to me, Janet Lynn, what did you do? There was no time for that. Because, you see, my dad knew who God created me to be. He knew my whole entire life that I have thought outside of the box. He's known that. So what he said was, let me try to help you. My dad hopped into the driver's seat, and I hopped up on the workbench, and I watched. I had kind of held my face so I wouldn't show him how hard I was laughing, because now I was certain my husband would be coming home anytime, coming in, seeing his father-in-law driving sideways in his garage. While I was on that workbench, I thought back. I thought back to my dad, and I thought back to how he had always been there my entire life. He said, what now? He said, let's fix the problem. And God says, what now? He wants to help you fix your problems. He doesn't want to say to you, why did you do that? He wants to say, let's move forward. What can we do now? You see, my dad believed in my dreams. He believed in who God created me to be. He praised my accomplishments. He guided me when I needed to do something different. Today, the day I drove my van sideways in the garage was no different. My dad was there for me, and he says he will always be there for me.